Welcome to the channel. Okay, listen up. We're here to talk Berserk today. Andrew for life. Please like, subscribe for the algorithm. You know what it is. Now, guys, we're here to just talk about Berserk and what it means to me. Because this is my show. Okay. Excuse me. I'll probably cough some more. Got something in my throat. So, do we hear this beautiful music? I just am lost in the beautiful music. When I look at Berserk, I feel like someone who is, I don't know, listening to a tale that is real, first of all. Everything about this story is so insane. Spoiler alert! I'm just saying right now, this is like the greatest tale between evil and light, because it perfectly portrays the birth of an evil thing and how it forms and how even the most evil thing can once be this cherished thing in your life. Berserk touches on dreams, and not a lot of people do this. Not a lot of people talk about dreams. I personally love talking about dreams and am a huge dreamer. I obviously am dreaming to become a famous YouTuber. I want to do a lot. I want to help homelessness and the cause, if I can. I want to help people who are just maybe going down a wrong path, start communities, and spread this whole social journey out there. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who aren't involved in stuff, and if you weren't in a church before COVID, you're kind of like out of this loop socially. And Berserk makes me think about all this stuff, dreams, socialness, everything. I mean, Berserk, Griffith literally talks about at one point how, like, you aren't even alive if you don't have a dream, and he doesn't want to be your friend unless you have your own dream. And he talks about how, like, he would have to consider you, in order to consider somebody as equal, they would have to have their own dream. It would have to be also as big a dream as his dream. So, like, Griffith gets into some deep stuff, right? Just in that conversation in the fountain. And a lot of people know that conversation. But overall, the show just really highlights how important every single person is. Okay? Do you understand? They highlight when Guts is sitting at the tree and they show the campfire of the Band of the Hawk, and they all have their own flame, right? Because they all have their own dreams. And Griffith just has this dream that it happens to be so great in our time that it's undeniable. And everyone around him sees that he has something about him, right? And he is constantly remarked as beautiful and, like, someone not to be challenged, and he's a fearless leader, and he's super victorious. Okay? So, with the whole dream theme, you just get a whole bunch of useful information, too, that people can walk away with. Like, you can adjust your life. If you're not living for your dream, then maybe something's wrong. This is how you should be living. You should go live for your dream. Right? Looking right at the camera. And that's what gives you a purpose. And without that, you might easily just be using people, skating by, basically existing to exist. But Griffith drives home, you know, he has a purpose, and a big purpose, and he wants to cause a lot of change. And it's only through fate that he feels like this is happening anyways, and all these things have to line up. And if someone were to be his friend, all these things would have to line up for them too, essentially. And it's just crazy deep when you think about it. And I can get deeper and talk about it more, but you know, that's the gist of the dream theme. And then we have, you know, our boy Guts, just our unwavering, undying, just some of these thumbnails are hilarious, but look at that. I mean, Guts just never backs down, dude. And no matter how bad the challenge is, no matter how thick and dark those demons are, right? He fucking slices them in half with his sword, because he's like that, I guess. And he is just super consistent. He's got anger problems, and he has hella rage, and he even takes it out on Casca. And that could be easily just a parallel to, you know, anybody when couples fight. But Guts, like, keeps persevering through his demons, right? And he always, like, tries his best, too. And he encourages other people, too. Now, I am a Christian, and Guts clearly does not believe in a God. Or if he does, he says, like, tell God I can handle it or something like that. But, you know, to leave me alone, basically. But I really do think that Guts is not necessarily the worst example of a Christian, especially in this one area, okay, that I'm focusing on, because and yeah, I know that's crazy because he murders people, but you could argue it's in self-defense. I really do think that Guts, though, has this consistency and this perseverance that is unwavering and undying, and his giant freaking sword will just slice his problems in half. Like, and you have to come, like, when life kicks you in the ass, you gotta have a giant sword to slice it back with, right? Like, that's the, like, Kobe Bryant, now it's like the Guts mentality, okay? And then, like, so those overarching themes of, like, just perseverance, continuing, and then finally, excuse me, we have the God Hand and all the demons, which to me represent everybody's personal demons coming to a maximum like head point, almost. Like, I feel like the eclipse could represent you facing your worst nightmares, essentially, and walking through the valley of the shadow of death, right? And sort of like being in the actual depths of hell, though. And when I think of the God Hand, I don't think any of the members of the God Hand as elite goddess as I do Griffith, right? Because Griffith to me is like the actual devil. Like, we're a little bit sympathetic as, like, not really, but Christians at least will say stuff like, you know, Lucifer was once an angel, and he apparently, like, led the choir or something, and then got kicked off the stool because he wanted all the attention for himself. And now he took a third of the angels with him, and that's hell and stuff, right? Or whatever. But Like, whether that's hell, whether you believe that or not, it still is a really good theme, right? It's a really good theme that this could be symbolic to your personal demons. And even if you think you have lost literally everything, like Guts did, and in the midst of losing everything, your best friend betrays you, and your lover is raped by your best friend, and all these terrible things are happening, and every friend you ever had was killed mercilessly, right? And you're just standing there, and you're like, and you have these anger problems, and you try to charge, but it's to no avail because you're fighting demons, and you lose an arm. And at that point, once you lost that arm, I bet Guts, like, I feel like any normal person would have been Corcus, right? Like, Corcus, I feel like, is everybody. Corcus is just like who most people are, in my opinion. Like, most people can't even scratch the surface level of understanding what situation they're even in, which is exactly what Corcus says. Like, Corcus refuses to acknowledge reality consistently throughout the show. He refuses to acknowledge Guts as a competent leader despite being one, and he refuses to acknowledge the fact that they are literally in hell when they are. And he goes as far as just saying this all the way up into that big-breasted death of his. And, you know, it's comical, but it's deep just to say that people will deny their very own circumstance before you. And sometimes the circumstances you might find yourself in life are very unbelievable. Right? That's like the eclipse. That's your worst nightmare. Coming to fruition, coming to life, coming into the world from your imagination. Right? Like, the eclipse is something you could only imagine, just like your worst nightmare, until it happens. Then what do? You know, when you feel like you've lost everything? Well, if you have the Corcus mindset, you're going to maybe, like, fall into the first pair of beautiful tits you see and, like, impregnate a woman on accident when you don't want to, and something like that. You know, or just be like Corcus and just fall for, you know, any easy trap. Or you could be like Casca, fight back. You could be like Guts, mercilessly fight back. You know, you could be like Judo, go out, but still go out doing the right thing. You know, there's all these paths you can take. You know what I mean? They didn't really have a lot of options. You could be like Griffith if you were in that scenario. You know, you could betray everyone for yourself and your body. For your good life back. Right? You know, like Griffith was in a scenario, like they present an insane moral dilemma with Griffith, okay? Griffith is literally in a scenario where they're like, Griffith, you were once the shining knight of the Hawk. Every woman wanted you. You knew women under your command were in love with you. Every man respected you and idolized you practically, if not hated you out of jealousy and tried to kill you. All out of jealousy. And he came up on top even over the queen. As a commoner. All the way to the big leagues, baby. And because he couldn't hold his tongue back, in the anime, he actually gets super mouthy, and he gets left in a torture chamber where this insane guy who loves torturing people cripples Griffith in every single humanly way possible, cuts out his tongue, almost leaves him to death, but isn't allowed to kill Griffith, does literally everything you can do to Griffith except kill him. Torturing him for a whole year in pure darkness, alone. And Guts comes in to save Griffith, you know. But I guess it was too late. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get too into all that, but I do really love that. Man, think about Griffith. Okay, anybody that's been to jail will understand, and if you're still watching 15 minutes in, I love you. My gosh. But if you've ever been to jail, bro, you just sit there and stare at a wall, homie. You don't do shit. You know what I mean? Like, you can work out. You might have to defend yourself because someone's trying to hurt you. But ultimately, there's not a lot going on. It's dark, it's cold, and it's very uncomfortable. And it's isolated like a motherfucker. Mostly from sane people. If not completely from everyone. Or all sane people. But Griffith was down there in that situation, in that darkness, getting tortured daily, psychologically and physically. Most people would bow out. And most people would kill themselves or figure out a way to kill themselves or do something. But he just sat there and took it the whole time. And didn't even lose his sanity, which kudos, because he even says, I think I've lost my sanity, but no, wait, I haven't, because Guts was like his stake in his consciousness. So, you know, I mean, think about that dark time. And then he comes out on top in a way that he himself would have never expected, including everyone around him. I personally think that, you know, that's how the Lord works, but, you know, you could interpret that and just say, like, you know, things can work out if you just persevere and you just don't give up. Like, most people would have given up, but Griffith weirdly got an even better life back ultimately and had all this crazy stuff going on. I mean, he didn't just end up being a tortured guy in a chair who was useless, and his assumptions as a human that he made in the moments that he would have logically made didn't actually make sense and weren't actually in his best interest. And, you know, that's what wisdom's all about. It's all about making the right decision for yourself in the future, not now. And being able to make it and being able to stick with it. And I think Griffith thought that he had to go through that torture situation to sacrifice himself, and maybe he did for the Behelit to activate, or Behelit, however you say it. Maybe he did have to, you know, lose blood. I don't even know. I've seen the theories that there has to be blood connected to it. Maybe not. But this show brings up all these topics, and the plot has really hardcore twists and is really amazing, and it brings up all these interesting conversations and has tons of fans and has all these people respecting Japanese artists and Japanese art overall. And then you look into more manga, and then you look into more anime, and then you look into more artists, and then you look into more dead guys, and you realize, oh my gosh, these Japanese guys are dropping dead to entertain assholes like us because they so legit, like Kentaro Miura. So RIP. But, you know, these people are legitimate, and these stories they write are some of the greatest stories in literature, in my opinion. Like, fuck what you have to learn in school. That, a lot of it's just bullshit. And this kind of stuff, to me, is interesting, relevant to real life, teaches you things that you can add on to your life and enhance your life with. You know, that's what the fuck a story's supposed to do. When a story can enhance your life, you know what I'm saying? When a story can, dare I say, enhance your dream, then, yeah, you can definitely call that a good story. And when a story is like Fast and Furious 8, just made for cash grabs, I understand people enjoy it, and that's fine. But I'm not into that story because I'm not deeper or better than somebody. I just genuinely am focused on something different, right? And it's that simple. Like, that energy that they could be spending, probably more energy than me, they're just spending on, in my opinion, the wrong thing. Right? So, Berserk, 10 out of 10. Woo! Most critical, yeah, baby. And, I'll leave it there. Peace. Thank you.